Think about the last time someone asked you a simple question. Maybe it was a coworker asking why a task wasn't finished, or a partner asking what you want for dinner. You didn't just give an answer. Before you even realized it, you were 3 minutes into an explanation. You were providing the backstory, the obstacles you faced, the logical sequence of your thoughts, and the reasons why your choice was the most sensible one. You might have seen their eyes glaze over, or noticed them check their watch. And in that moment, you felt that familiar sting, the feeling that you are too much, that you talk too much, that you're annoying. But what if I told you that over-explaining isn't a personality flaw? What if it isn't chatter? For those of us diagnosed with ADHD or autism later in life, over-explaining is something much deeper. It is a psychological fortress. It is a survival strategy we built, brick by brick, to protect ourselves from a world that has spent decades misunderstanding us. Today, we are going to look at the concept of contextual safety, the hidden reason why your brain feels it isn't safe to speak unless it provides the entire map. From the outside, people see a talker. They see someone who is conscientious or perhaps just a bit long-winded. But from the inside, over-explaining is an act of defense. In psychology, we call this a trauma response or a compensatory strategy. If you grew up with an undiagnosed neurodivergent brain, you spent years experiencing what we call mismatched communication. You said one thing, but people heard another. You had a logical reason for your behavior, but it was labeled as lazy, defiant, or careless. When your internal reality is constantly denied or corrected by the people around you, your brain makes a vital calculation. If I don't provide every single piece of context, I am in danger of being misjudged. This is the birth of the need for contextual safety. You aren't just sharing information. You are trying to preemptively fix a misunderstanding that hasn't even happened yet. You are trying to control the narrative so that, for once, you can be seen for who you actually are, rather than the broken version people often perceive. Why do we do this even with people we love and trust? Because when you are late diagnosed, perhaps in your 30s or 40s, you are carrying a ghost into every conversation. That ghost is every teacher who didn't believe you forgot your homework. It's every boss who thought you were making excuses. It's every friend who thought you were being selfish when you were actually just overstimulated. When you over-explain to your partner why you bought the wrong brand of milk, you aren't talking to them. You are talking to that ghost. You are defending your competence. You are saying, I am not careless. I thought this through. Here is the data to prove I am a capable adult. This is especially common in Rejection Sensitive Dysphoria, RSD, a common experience in the ADHD community. RSD makes the threat of a minor misunderstanding feel like a life-threatening wound. To avoid that pain, we over-explain. We build a wall of words around our decisions, hoping that if the wall is high enough and the logic is sound enough, no one can climb over it to hurt us with their judgment. I want to stop here for a second, because if you're nodding your head, you might be feeling a sense of shame. You might be thinking about all the times you've annoyed people with your explanations. I want you to hear this clearly. There is nothing wrong with you. Your brain did exactly what it was supposed to do. It noticed that being misunderstood led to pain, so it developed a tool to prevent that pain. Over-explaining was your armor. It kept you safe when you didn't have a diagnosis to explain why your brain worked differently. You weren't being annoying. You were being a survivor. You were trying to find a way to be understood in a world that didn't speak your language. But here is the truth we eventually have to face. Armor is heavy. While over-explaining provides contextual safety, it also costs us. First, it creates cognitive fatigue. It is exhausting to constantly lawyer your own life. To have to prepare a closing argument for every small choice you make consumes the precious dopamine and executive function your ADHD brain is already struggling to maintain. Second, it can actually create the disconnection we are trying to avoid. When we over-explain, we often lose the person we are talking to. They stop hearing our heart because they are drowned out by our data. And finally, it reinforces a lie we tell ourselves, the lie that we are only acceptable if we can prove our logic. When you over-explain, you are subtly telling yourself, I don't have the right to just be. I only have the right to exist if I can justify my existence through words. Healing doesn't mean you stop being a deep thinker. It means you start believing that no is a complete sentence, and that your reasons are valid even if you keep them to yourself. So, how do we put the armor down? It starts with small, almost invisible risks. Next time someone asks you a question, try to give the short answer first. And then, and this is the hardest part, wait. Sit in the silence. Feel the urge to explain rising up in your throat like a wave. Notice the anxiety telling you that they are judging you, and just let the wave pass. Remind yourself, I am safe. If they need more context, they will ask. My worth is not tied to their perfect understanding of my motives. You are 42, or 35, or 50. You are no longer that child in the classroom trying to convince the teacher you aren't lazy. You are an adult with a beautiful, complex, neurodivergent mind. You deserve to be seen, but you also deserve the peace of not having to explain yourself into exhaustion. The people who truly love you don't need the map. They just want to be in the room with you. If this resonated with you, I want you to do something for me. In the comments, just write the word seen. Or, if you're comfortable, share one habit you've realized was actually just a way to find contextual safety. Naming it is the first step toward putting the armor down. I'm your psychological navigator, and this is a space for us to finally understand the why behind the what. Because you aren't broken, you're just wired differently. I'll see you in the next video.